This is Hellfreezer, and you're listening to Fun with Failure. He's my son, don't you know? He wasn't planned, mind you, and is going to be quite the shock when his mother finds out. But you don't need to hear about my problems.
Welcome to Fun with Failures. I don't work here, lady. I've got 3 stories for you today. I hope you enjoy. Sorry it's taken me so long to do this stuff. I'm trying to work out my schedule because work's kind of gotten in the way. Stinking work. So I've got to figure out how to make my schedule work better. Special thanks to Hellfreezer for the intro. Thank you, Daddy. You can find this channel in the link below. Sit back, relax, and here we go. I just discovered this sub today, and the memory of something that happened to me 5 years ago came flooding back to me, so I figured I'd share. This is quite a long story, so you may want to grab some popcorn. I'm a gamer, and I was down in London to visit Eurogamer, which for anybody who doesn't know, is a huge video game trade show, which was being held at Earl's Court. This was the last year that it was going to be hosted there. That's before the building would be bulldozed, and the event moved to the National Exhibition Center in Birmingham, which is much closer to where I live, and a whole bunch more convenient to get to. So I leave the event with plenty of time to travel across London, so that I can get to the station to catch my train. But I misjudged the amount of time that it would take me to make the journey, and I ended up at the station 2 hours before the train was due. I had a seat booked on a specific train, and I was informed that I had no option but to wait. So my options were to buy a whole new ticket or to wait it out. I left the station and I decided to just walk around and try to kill as much time as I could. I remember going to buy a cold drink and walking around some nearby stores. I was tired and aching because I have done a lot of walking over the last 3 days and my feet were proper sore. I ended up browsing the video game section at the local HMV store. So like the other post in this sub, I should mention that the HMV staff wear a black t-shirt with the company logo on it and with some generic "stop me if you need help" message on the back. They often wore lanyards too. I was wearing cargo shorts and a blue PlayStation t-shirt with a baseball cap. I also had a wheeled backpack trolley thing, clearly not a staff member. So like I said, I was looking at the video games when this guy in his 50s, who was clearly drunk, shouts, "Oi, show me where I can find this thing that you've never heard of." He came right up to me, and I could smell the alcohol on his breath before he even got close to me. My response was, "I've never heard of it. Also, I don't work here, but I'm sure if you ask the guy at the counter, he can help you." He stood there gently swaying back and forth and just looking at me dead in the eyes for several seconds. And finally he said, "Find it for me, you ignorant kid. Hurry up, you a-hole." I was not in the mood for this, so I said, "Whatever." And I grabbed my bag and walked away from him. Now, I was in the back of the store, and I decided to go down another aisle instead of walking past him. He, in his best slurred voice, said, "Hey, where are you going? Get back here!" Followed by a long string of expletives. Now, I was about halfway through the store listening to this jerk when I decided I had enough, and I turned around and shouted something like, "Shut up, you stupid drunk!" I don't remember exactly what I said. I turned back toward the door, and I'd figured I'd just go back to the train station and wait there. The next thing I hear is the sound of quickly approaching footsteps as the idiot runs straight for me. I turn around to find him launching himself into a running headbutt. I put my hand up to defend myself, and I leaned backwards to avoid his attack, but I ended up tripping on my bag, and I was knocked off balance. It caused me to stagger about 3 or 4 steps backwards, and turning me around, adrenaline surged through me, and my next thought was, "I'm gonna kill this guy," and I actually meant it. I turned around ready to pummel him. What I saw next was 2 ninja security guards, who I swear appeared out of nowhere. And they had this guy pinned to his stomach on the floor. It had only been 2 seconds, and they had him down on the ground. He was shouting his head off as he was being restrained, screaming every obscenity under the sun. The store manager, after hearing the disturbance, came running over from the front of the store and asked, "What's going on here?" I just said, "The stupid drunk is trying to cause problems," and I attempted to walk away. The security guard asked him to call the police, and he did, but he also tried to stop me from leaving until they got there. I personally didn't care about it. I just wanted to leave. Plus, I was very annoyed. I explained to him that I had a train to catch, and I had to go. I even showed him my ticket. All the while, he was still on the phone with the police. All this time, the drunk is still screaming his head off. The security guards had got this guy to his feet and was dragging him to the back room so they can get him away from the other customers. And he started kicking out, and he hit a shelf, knocking merchandise all over the floor. The poor manager, who was both talking to the police and shouting instructions to the security staff, failed to notice that I walked out the door. I crossed the road outside the store, and I went around the corner back towards the train station. As I did, I heard the sound of approaching sirens. I returned to the station and went straight down to the platform and waited. As I sat there drinking and browsing the net from my phone, about 30 minutes has passed, and I was approached by 2 female police officers, who then asked,
"Were you just involved in an incident with an HMV?
"Yeah, some drunk guy just tried to headbutt me." Then they said,
"We understand that you are about to catch a train and we don't want to disrupt that, but can we just get your details in a brief statement?"
I said that my train was about to arrive, but I went ahead and gave them a quick breakdown of what happened. After telling them and saying our goodbyes, I hop on the train, finally happy to go home. This would be the end of the story, except a month later, I received an email from the HMV. They had prepared an apology letter from the company, and they offered me a store voucher as a way of compensation, or something like that. I used to work at an internet store that sold digital camera lenses and accessories. For the sake of this story, we will call it Catloaf. As I sat at my desk, checking orders, my phone rang. I hardly answered the phone with, "This is Catloaf, how can I help?" when a woman's shrill voice nearly blows my ear off.
What's wrong with you people? Why can't you get things right? I ordered 3 large loofahs and I only got 1. I wanted a sea salt scrub, but I got a lavender scrub. And the 20-ounce tea tree bath oil, not the 8-ounce one. This is unacceptable. I want to talk to your manager. I want a refund, I want everything I ordered discounted and free shipping.
She ended her tirade with heavy, angry breathing. She didn't even give me a chance to get one word in. So, not even trying to hold back my laughter, I asked, "What company are you trying to reach?" The heavy breathing stopped. Then she said,
Excuse me?
I repeated the question, this time actually laughing.
Olive Loaf.
She said, with uncertainty in her voice.
You sell bath products and lotions?
She then rattles off a phone number similar to ours. This is Catloaf. I laugh, tears rolling down my cheeks. We sell digital cameras and accessories and not bath products. You got the wrong number. You could hear the embarrassment coming from the phone.
This is an Olive Loaf.
She asked in a whisper. No.
Oh.
Then I heard the phone very quickly, and with much embarrassment, hang up. Okay, backstory time. I'm only 15, 14 at the time of this incident. I take American Sign Language at my high school. We have a super chill teacher. At the beginning of my freshman year, our teacher offered us extra credit for our class, and all we had to do was hang out at Starbucks for an hour, and whenever we saw someone deaf or hard of hearing, we would sign to them, or to our friends. We had to be signing though. This was like a monthly thing, and I went to every one. Also, for info, I was wearing my school's uniform, which was a black collared tee and dark blue pants, and I also looked a little worn out from interacting with so many people. I get stressed out very easily. So it's January, and I've already got my drink, which makes this even more baffling that this lady confused me as a worker. And I had sat down with my friend. We were just signing to each other about the school day. He signed something funny, and I laughed, rather loudly. This really didn't bother most people there, again, who were either deaf or hard of hearing. The other students were doing the same things as we were. Then this lady, in her mid-30s, blonde, with an actual "can I speak to your manager" haircut, which I never thought I'd see in real life, comes up to my table, where my friend and I are sitting. She snaps her finger right next to my ear. I'm very sensitive to sound, so I flinched.
Excuse me.
She scoffed. As much as I wish I could have played it off as being deaf, I couldn't.
I've been waiting in line for over 5 minutes. There are 2 registers and only one of them is being used. Why are you not doing your job?
I didn't know what to say. The logo on my school shirt clearly showed that I was a high school student and not an employee of Starbucks. So I guess I could have passed for 16 at the time. So I just blinked at her. Then I looked over at my friend, who seemed to be in the same shock as I was. Then I looked back at her. "Miss, I'm a student at the local high school. I'm just here for extra credit. I'm not an employee," I stuttered out. Dang you, anxiety. Pointing to my shirt, then my drink, and then to my friend, who was wearing the same thing as I was. She stared at me angrily, as if she didn't compute what I was saying. Then she furiously shook her head, as if shaking off rainwater or something.
Don't give me that. I've seen you behind the counter before.
She shrieked, putting her hands on her hips.
And you've helped me more than once. So don't be so entitled, you lazy child.
At this point, I'm about ready to cry. I moved my chair and my body to be pressed up against the wall, but this lady just kept screaming at me and leaning closer into me. My friend was just as freaked out and frozen as I was. Just as she was inches from my face, practically frothing at the mouth.
Get up and help me now, you entitled brat. It's people like you that are ruining the public social experience.
My really cool sign language teacher came by and put a hand on her shoulder. "Miss, my students do not work for Starbucks. They're only here for extra credit, and I'd like to ask you to please leave them alone," he said calmly. This lady somehow still did not understand that she was speaking with an anxiety-ridden high school student, and that this person's teacher told her specifically that I didn't work here, because she immediately batted the hand off and tried to step away from my teacher. I said tried because on these nights, the store is really crowded with a bunch of people, so she just bumped into another person who didn't seem to be bothered.
But I've seen him. He probably has this thing as a part-time job or something.
This lady insisted, pointing her finger in my direction. "I'm 14, I mumbled, what I thought was out of her hearing range. "I can't work here." She must have heard me, because she shrieked again, and it reminded me of Redhead from LOZ.
He works here.
The lady shouted slowly, like I was too stupid to recognize my own job. Finally, a staff member came over and asked what the deal was. Nobody said anything, so she looked around and saw the terrified look on my face, and the shock on my teacher's and friend's face, and the absolute anger in the face of the lady staring down on me.
"I can guess what's going on here, judging by the screaming I heard and the looks on your faces. Miss, I'm going to have to ask you to leave."
This lady had to be escorted out of the shop, red-faced and screaming and pointing at me. The employee that came over initially apologized for taking so long to notice. I was glad to see her gone. I got a $30 gift card from Starbucks, and I never saw that lady again. No idea what happened to her, but Jesus, lady, learn to listen to people. If you enjoyed these stories, please leave a like and subscribe for more. All stories from Reddit and other external sites are linked in the description below. If you have any stories you'd like to share, you can send it to my email at funwithfailure@gmail.com.